the class. Click on EC2, click on services, go to EC2, click on instances on the left side, right? This is how you created a machine, right? From this page only you created the machine. First click on launch instance, the Linux machine I'm talking about, the Ubuntu Server 16.4, select it, then click on review and launch button. That will actually create a machine for you. Click on launch button again. All right, I'm going to create a new key pair, selecting this option, December 14, giving the name as December 14. Click on download key pair. I downloaded the PEM file. Click on launch instance. That will create the Linux machine. So these are the steps once you created your AWS account. Actually, these are the steps you need to follow in order to create a Linux machine inside your AWS account. And once you did that, from your laptop, you can log into this Linux machine that you have created. So you can come back to the same page, click on services, EC2, then click on instances on the left side. You can see the machine that you have just created. So if you are using Windows, Pranida. If you are using Windows, I told you what are the steps in your laptop if you are running Windows operating system. We discussed yesterday what are the steps you need to follow in order to log into the remote Linux machine. This is the Linux machine that you have created. So you need to use PuTTY, right? PuTTY is what you need to use in order to log into the remote machine. So in my case, those who are using Mac, the steps are actually different. There is a terminal application in Mac. So in my case, the way the steps which I will use to log into the Linux machine is different than I don't use PuTTY instead. There is some application called terminal in Mac. Then I need to run these commands. Chmod 400, the file name, December 14.pem. This is the command I would use. SSH-i December 14.pem Ubuntu @IP address. So this is the command. If you are using a Mac, this is the command you need to run from the Mac terminal to log into the remote Linux machine. It will ask a warning, are you sure want to connect? Give yes. That's it. I am logged in to the remote Linux machine. Right now what you see in my screen, this particular command line, it's the command line of the remote Windows remote Linux machine, the machine which I have created in AWS. So I just repeat, it's the same steps, right? You are using Windows. From Windows you used PuTTY to log into the remote EC2 machine. In my case, I am on Mac. From the Mac terminal, I logged into the remote machine. So doesn't matter how you log in, what operating system that you are using in your laptop, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the remote command line that you are getting once you logged in. So in your case, it was black in color. The color doesn't matter. It's the same. It's the remote Ubuntu server where currently I am logged in. So in your case, you would use PuTTY to access your Linux machine which you created in AWS. Clear, right? Okay, so what we are going to focus on today is some basic Linux commands. Actually, unlike Windows, you will not get a graphical interface when you work with Linux. All you get is a command line. So any operation which you want to perform on your Linux machine, it need to be done through command lines, through some commands. If you want to create a file, create a folder, you want to install some software, you want to start some service, right? You want to copy some file to a new location, right? Anything, you want to open some file editor, you want to edit a file, whatever operation that you need to perform in Linux machine, you need to run some command in Linux, right? That's what help you work on Linux machine. Unlike Windows, you will not get any graphical interface. So these are the commands that I'm going to discuss today, right? Some basic commands. So before I start, I will tell you. I mean, in Windows you have usage, right? You log into your Windows laptop by providing the username and password. So you are logging in as a user. There are different types of usage in Linux. There are administrators, there are normal usage, there are guest usage, right? There are different types of usage in Linux. And depending on what type of user they are, they get different permission. If they are administrator, they will get a lot of permission. If they are normal user, they will get very less permissions. If they are guest users, they will get very less permissions. So depending on what permission they have got, they can work on certain things. Okay, so in case of your EC2 machine, in case of Linux, the situation is not different. When you want to log into a Linux machine, that's what you did right now using your putty. You logged into the remote Linux machine as user Ubuntu. So by default, the EC2 machine that you have created in AWS will have a user called Ubuntu. So using your putty on your laptop, you logged into this EC2 machine as user Ubuntu. Okay, and there is a Linux command. So always remember this command line which you see right on my screen. It's the command line belonging to the remote machine I have created in Mumbai. So this is a Linux machine. So whatever command I can run on a Linux machine, I can command run them on this EC2 machine also, right? Where I am logged in this command line. In your case, that black color window, it is nothing but the remote Linux machine. So you can execute commands on that machine. The commands are actually getting executed on the remote machine, not on your laptop, right? Now you got that. So there is a command in Linux, whoami. Whoami is a command in Linux which you can use to check which user you currently logged in as. So whoami, when I run on the remote EC2 machine, it tells me currently I am logged in as user Ubuntu, right? I want to now switch myself to a user called root. Root is a special user in Linux. Basically, same as the administrator in Windows, right? Basically, root is a powerful user, or you can call him a super user. He can execute any command on your Linux machine, whatever things you want to attach a new hard disk to your machine or create a file system on a hard disk, right? You want to create other uses. Whatever operation on a Linux machine you would like to perform, this root user can perform. He is a eligible user. He is a super user. So when you log in as user Ubuntu using your putty, then you can run this particular command to log in as root. Su in means switch user. You are basically switching the user from Ubuntu to root. For that, you can run this command su-root by putting sudo in the front. So we will talk about this command in detail. For now, just understand. Once you logged in as Ubuntu, then you can run this particular command to become the root. Got it? All right. Hi Subhash, I'll talk to you at the end. All right. Actually, today we started with the Linux basics. I just saw you are logged in. Yeah. Subhash, I'll talk to you. Yeah. So now I'm logged in as root. Now I type the command who am I? I can see. Right now I am root. Okay, perfect. So this is how you can switch. This is the command used for switching user in Windows. How you would do that? You click on start button, then select switch user option. Then you would be given a login window. You need to provide the mail ID and the username and password. Then you are logged in as the new user. In Linux, this is the command you need to use if you want to switch to a different user. hyphen root, right? Now run the command form to verify that you successfully switched to the user. Right now you are root. So now I execute any command. I am going to execute those commands with the permissions of the root user. That means now I can run whatever command I want, because root is a special user in Linux who has full privilege on the Linux machine. Got it? Right. So that's what the user root is. Now what I'm going to do is I will just talk about how the file system is configured in Linux. In case of Windows, how would you see your files and folders? You go ahead, click on my computer, you can see different drives, C drive, E drive, D drive, right? All those things you can see, right? Then double click on one of the drive, you can see the files and folders inside that. Again, double click on some folders, you can again see the subfolders and files and everything. So it's like a tree. In Linux also it is not different. It's like a tree starting from a folder called slash. This is the top folder in Linux where the file system hierarchy begins. Just consider this like a C drive in Windows, but you will not find separate drives in Linux. It would be a single folder that you see, which is slash. And inside slash you will have number of folders and subfolders. For example, there's a folder called etc, and there can be a folder called home, there can be another folder called proc. So like that, there you would see a number of subfolders and some files also, test.txt. So like that you can see a number of files and folders inside slash. And again inside each subfolders you can see it's just like Windows, right? You can see more files and folders, right? It will go like a tree, same as Windows. This is how the hierarchy will look like, but only difference is that everything start at a single point, slash folder. This is the root of the tree, right? Basically that is where everything begins. Okay, fine. So when you are on a command line of Linux, you are also on a particular folder. So right now I am on a Linux command line. I run the command pwd to find out which folder I am in right now. Pwd is a command which will show me which folder I am in right now. So my intention is I want to go to this folder, the top folder which I talked about, slash. So at any point of time, whenever you want, you can change your working folder. For that, the command is cd or change directory, cd space slash. Basically, this command will take you to this particular folder, slash. Now you run pwd, you can see you are inside slash. Okay. So pwd command shows you are inside slash. And there's a command called ls. If you type the command ls, it would show you all files and folders in your current working folder. What is your current working folder? It is nothing but slash. So inside slash you have a list of folder and files that you can see here: bin, boot, dev, etc, home, lib. These are different folders. This is a file, init rd.img, vm linux. These are some files. Others are some folders. So right, you can see a list of them. Now if you want to go inside any of these folder, you can again type the same command cd space etc. Let's say I want to go to this etc folder. I can type the command cd space etc. I will be taken to that folder. Now I run pwd, I can see now I am inside slash etc. Now you type ls, you can see the list of files and folders inside etc. Right, you can see there is a folder called apt. There's a folder called apt. Let me go inside that folder. What command I can type? Again, I can type cd space apt. I will be taken to that folder. Now you type ls, you can see the content inside apt folder. So this is how the hierarchy goes in Linux, the folder hierarchy. Let's say I go to another folder, sources list.d. This is another folder inside apt. I run the command cd space sources list.d. I am taken to that folder. So at any point of time, if I run pwd, it would show me which exact folder I am in right now. Right now, I am inside sources list.d, which is in fact inside apt, which is in fact inside etc. This etc is inside slash. So if I run the pwd command, it would actually show me where exactly I am, starting from the beginning slash. The slash on the left side, you understand what it indicates, right? This is nothing but the slash on the top, the root of the tree which I talked about. It begins from the slash. Inside slash, there's a folder called etc. Inside etc, there's a folder called apt. Inside apt is where this sources list.d is located. So it would show you this is called the absolute path of any file or folder in Linux, starting from the beginning slash. In Linux, everything starts from beginning slash. So you put a slash at the leftmost side, it indicates nothing but the top slash. Then you put etc. This is the absolute path of this particular folder inside slash etc. So how about the absolute path of this folder? Inside slash, inside etc, apt. So what is the absolute path of this folder? You can put inside slash, inside etc, apt, sources. So like this, you can find out the absolute path of each folder in Linux. Right? There can be probably think about this hierarchy. And at any point of time, you can run this command clear to clear your terminal. Right? Okay, so there can be one folder inside etc slash etc. There can be a folder called apt. Inside slash, there can be another folder called apt. Here there can be another folder called home, and inside home there can be an apt. So you got it right. I mean, doesn't really matter. These are all different folders and they are identified by a unique path starting from the slash. So folder name is same, but since the folders are located under different folders, just like in Windows, you can create a one new folder uh, in desktop with name folder one. You can create the same folder name in downloads folder also, right? So it doesn't really matter. You can actually have same name for multiple folders in a different path. Okay. So now let's say I want to go to a folder called slash mnt. So right now where I am inside slash etc apt sources.list, right? This is the folder where I am in right now. This is where I am. I want to go to a different folder mnt, and mnt is inside slash. What I can do? Just ping me in the chat. What command do I need to run if I want to go to this particular folder? Just ping me in the chat. Yeah, the command is cd, of course. What I can do? Either I can type the two commands cd slash, that will take me to the slash folder, the top folder. Then I can type cd space mnt. That's one way. Or I can directly type cd space slash mnt. Basically, if you specify any folder starting from the slash, it is the absolute path of that particular folder which your Linux system will understand. So I can run this single command cd space slash mnt. That will do. Right? By specifying the beginning slash, I am telling my Linux shells that mnt is a folder inside slash. I am telling the exact path of mnt folder. So you can use this exact path of any folder to connect to any folder. So, right, there is no point in running the command first cd slash then cd mnt. This is not required. Instead, you can type at one shot cd slash mnt will take you to the mnt folder which is inside slash. Or I can even type, let's say I want to go to this sources dot list dot d folder. What I can do, I can, there is no need to type cd slash then cd etc then cd. It will work, of course. It will, then cd apt. Then I can run cd sources dot list. So either I can run these four commands, or I can simply type cd slash etc slash apt slash sources list dot d. I can run this single command to go to this particular folder. So you got the hierarchy, right? I mean, I'm just going slow because I want to make sure that you got it. It's actually nothing but like Windows, right? You need to specify the absolute path starting from the slash if you want to refer to any folder which is outside your current folder. But you already have a folder inside sources list.d, or let me go to a different folder, etc apt. Inside there I have number of folders. If I want to go to this folder, let's say preferences.d, I can simply type cd preferences.d because I am already inside apt folder inside etc. So I can simply type preferences.d. That will take me to this folder. The reason is I am already here, but it's not wrong to type the absolute path. You can still use the absolute path. This command is same as this command. These two commands are exactly same. Because I am already inside etc apt, I can simply specify the folder name. That is also okay. All right, so this is how the folder hierarchy will look like in Linux. Similar to Windows, only difference is you will not see different drives. It's all a single folder where you are beginning with. Okay, cool. So what all commands we had learned in Linux? We had learned ls command, pwd. Then we have seen cd command to change your folder. How you will create a new folder? It's a command called mkdir. You can use to create a new folder. Or touch is a command you can use to create a new file. Test.txt, a text document you want to create. You can use this command touch space file name. So let me do that. First, I will go inside some folder, let's say slash home. Let me go to this folder slash home. What is mean by slash home? The home folder inside slash. So if you find a slash in the beginning of any path, what does that mean? The top of the file system. Okay, don't get confused anymore. If you find any slash in the beginning, if you find a slash at the end, it probably you're referring a subfolder. That doesn't have any special meaning. But if you find any slash in the beginning, it has a special meaning. You are referring to the top folder which I talked about, where this etc or home, all these folders are located. Okay, fine. So run this command cd slash home. You will be taken to the folder slash home. Type ls. You can see there is one folder called Ubuntu. I'm going to create one more folder. Let's say mkdir f1. I'm creating a folder called F1. The command is mkdir space F1. Type ls, I can see the F1 folder, or I can also type like this mkdir slash home slash F1. This is also correct. Let's say run this command slash home slash F2. What this command will do, it will create the F2 folder inside slash home. Or I want to create a F3 folder inside slash etc. I can type the command mkdir slash etc slash F3. This will create a folder F3 inside this slash etc folder. So like this I can see different folders. I mean, I can create different folders in different location. So you type ls, I can see F1 and F2. If I go to etc, type ls, I can see there's a folder called F3 somewhere, right? You would see the folder F3 here. So mkdir is the command you would use to create a new folder in Linux. Touch is a command. Let me go back to my home folder, cd slash home, type ls. There are two folders, F1 and F2. Now I want to create a text document. Command is touch. Touch test.txt is a command I can run that will create this plain text file test.txt. Run the ls command, I can see the file test.txt. Or I can type like this touch test1.txt, test2.txt, like that. I want to create multiple text files. I can run the file names one by one, separated by space. Then you type ls, you can see all files have been created. And again, you can type this also, touch slash etc new.txt. What this command will do, it will create the file new.txt inside slash etc. You got it, right? So this is how you can create files and folders in Linux. Mkdir is the command used for creating folders, where touch is the command you can use to create files. Right, so we have seen this command. So we created a file. We created actually multiple files, test.txt, test1.txt, test2.txt. We created 3 files inside slash home. Now you want to edit these files. You have using Notepad or editor like Notepad, you want to add some content in this file. By default, they are empty file. They will not have any content. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use some editor, going to open this file in some text editor. There are different types of editors in Linux. Actually, 3 editors. All are command line. Of course, you won't get any graphical interfaces. It's all command line editors that you get. VI, Nano, Pico, like that. There are different types of editors in Linux. So I'm going to open the file in this VI editor. There's an editor called VI in Linux. VI space test.txt. So basically I am opening the file test.txt inside a VI editor. So the command will be editor name space the file name, press enter. You can see the file is opened, which is a blank file. You don't see any content in it. It's a blank file. By default, VI editor will open the file in a read only mode. Press the I button to convert the file in a insert mode. Basically, now you can edit the file. First you need to press the letter I in your keyboard. That will make turn VI editor into a read write mode. Now you can start typing your content. This is a test file. File is edited using VI editor. Right. This is the 3rd line. Right now I'm putting some content. Right. So I am editing this file. Now I'm done editing this file. Now I want to save this file. First thing, press the escape button, then the insert mode will go on. I press the escape button and the insert is gone. Now the file is in read only mode. Now I can run some command inside VI editor. W is one command I can type that would save the content. Q is a command that will close the VI editor. So there are different commands I can type inside VI editor. So in order to type any command, first press escape button, then put a colon, then specify the command that you want to run. W means it will save the file. Colon W will actually save the file. Now the file is saved. Whatever modification which you made have been saved. Now you want to close the VI editor. The command is Q. Again press escape colon Q. Q is the command which will close the VI editor. You will be get back to your terminal. And if you want to see the content of the file, you don't need to open the file in editor all the time. Whenever you want to see the content of the file, there's a command in Linux, cat space file name. If you run this command, it will actually show you the content of the file into your screen. Whatever content of this file, it will print into your screen. This is where you can see the content of the file. Or you can open the editor in VI editor later also, VI space test.txt. Again, the file will be opened in VI editor. You can see the content, right? If you want to modify the file, again press I button, put your modification, right? And when you are done, again press escape. W is the command for writing, Q is for closing the VI editor. So if you press W key, Q, it means save and quit. So file would be saved and the editor will be closed. Now you type cat space file name, you can see the content of the file. So got it, right? So like VI, there are other editors also. Nano and Pico, they are editors just like your Notepad. There is no insert mode. You can open the file in nano editor, nano space test.txt. Then you can start modifying your file, right? Just like you would do in all the buttons, insert or backspace, delete, all these button in your keyboard will work just like you would open a notepad editor in Windows. It's the similar editors, but I mean eventually you will end up making one of these your favorite editors. Probably you already have your favorite editor in Windows. Similarly, eventually you would make one of these editors your favorite one, and VI is more handy, right? VI is my favorite editor. Okay, so right, so we have seen the command ls pwd mkdir touch cd vi nano pico cat. So another command is man. Man is a command which you can use to view the manual page of any other command in Linux. For example, you want to learn about the ls command, you can type man space ls. Man space ls, if you run this command, it would show you the manual page of ls command. What is ls command, what ls command will do, right? What are the different options that you can use along with your ls command? All these things you can see. For example, you can type simply ls, or you can type simply uh, ls with -a option. ls space -a command, what this will do not ignore entries starting with dot. So I will show you the differences. So if you type ls command, you know what the command will do. It would show you the list of files and folders. Now I am going to create one more file using touch command. I am going to create a new file, test4.txt. The file name is dot test4.txt. Make a note, the file start with a dot. I'm creating a folder also, dot f10. I'm going to create a folder called dot f10. So this is a file and this is a folder, and I have created them inside slash home. I am already inside slash home. So it is inside slash home. This file and this folder is created. You type ls command. You don't see those files. You cannot see dot f10 or you cannot see dot testf4.txt. By default, ls command will not show you any file or folder that start with a dot. If the file name or folder name start with a dot, the files will not show up as the output of ls command. You must type the command ls-a. Then it will show you the files that start with dot f10 and dot test4.txt. So if you want to quickly hide any files, you can use this way. Right, so that's what man command will do. Man command would show you what are the different options you can use along with any Linux command. So it would show you what ls command will do. It would list directory content. What is the syntax? The syntax is ls, then options, then finally the file name, file or folder. So what it meant to say is you can type simply ls, you can, or you can type simply ls slash home. Both are same. Ls command, if you type it, it would show you the content inside your current working folder. Or if you want to see the content of a given folder, you can type ls space folder name. It would show you the content inside that particular folder. So, or you can type ls-a slash home. It would show you the content inside slash home, even including the file that start with a dot. Alright, so this is how this is what man command will do. So I want to find out what is touch command. Man space touch, if I run it, it would open the manual page of touch command. Then it will show you what touch command will do. It changed the file timestamp. And what is the syntax of touch command? Actually, touch command is not the exact command that you would use to only to create file. This is a command used for changing the timestamp of a file, which we will discuss later. But for now, whenever you want to create a file, you can use this command touch. Okay, so then cp and mv command. Okay, we will talk about them. Maybe we will talk about them tomorrow. From tomorrow, our classes is going to be 1.5 hours, right? Tomorrow the class starts at the same time, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. IST, the same time as today. The class is going to be tomorrow also. And from Saturday, this Saturday you have class. From Saturday, the classes are going to be at 9 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. It would be 9 p.m. That means 1 hour late. But tomorrow, it's the same timing. Whatever timing that you joined today, we will follow the same timing. Starting from Saturday, the time will change. It would be late by 1 hour. Our plan will be tomorrow also we would be covering the Linux basics. It would be helpful to you if you are new to Linux, right? The very basic commands which we are going to use a lot as we are going forward when we learn more DevOps tools or more Linux administration topics. These are common commands that you will use a lot. So it's important that you are very much comfortable with the Linux terminal. Basically, that would be extremely helpful. I mean, right? If you are, especially if you are completely new to Linux, it's very important that you need to get yourself used to this command line because You all are more familiar with the graphical interfaces given by Windows, right? Working with the command line could be pretty new to you. So what I want you to do today is practice all these commands that we had learned and also more of them. Commonly used commands in Linux. Search like this. There are some 10 commands that you will find. I am sending this link to you, or you can search in Google commonly used commands in Linux. Go to the first link. Basically, these are the commands that we had learned: ls, cd, mv, man, mkdir, rmdir is a command you can use to delete a folder. Touch, right? Rm is a command you can use for deleting a file or a folder. Locate is for finding a file in your Linux file system, locating a file. Clear is a command if you run it on my screen. If I run the command clear, it will clear the terminal. So these are 10 commands which I want you to read through it and practice it. Actually, unless you work with the Linux command line, you will never get comfortable with Linux command line for sure, right? It's very important. Starting from today, whatever commands that you can run, or in the same link you would get the second link would show you 50 most frequently used commands in Linux. Go through these commands also, right? I am sending two links. The first link gives you 10 commands. Second link gives you 50 commands, which are actually very useful commands. So I will tell you the approach that you need to follow. I mean, initially it would be kind of something like you are in a strange place, right? Because it's all a command line that you get when you log into the Linux machine. So this link that shows 50 Linux commands, open that link. You can see the commands. Probably it is not as much as described as you expect. So tar command. What tar command will do? It create a new tar archive. You got any idea? What does this do? Basically, it will create a zip file. But it is tough if you are completely new. It's tough to understand what the command will do, what you need to do. Search in Google what tar command do in Linux. You will get a detailed description. The tar command is used to rip a collection of files and directories into a highly compressed archive. So basically, it will combine a number of files together to create a zip file. That's what tar command will do. It's the widely used command to create compressed archive files. So you got it, what tar command will do. So you have a list of files and folders that you want to combine together and create a zip file. You can use the tar command for that purpose. Then once you understood what tar command does, then move on. Read it. What is the command you need to run? Okay, this is the syntax. Tar cvf space, this is the archive file name, and this is the folder that you want to zip. So this command, if you run in your Linux box, what this command will do is it will zip this folder and create a zipped archive file. That's what this command will do. So run this command. I mean, unless you run them, you will not understand. Reading by the theory, or even if I explain, you will feel like you understood things. But unless you start working on it, I mean, create some folders, go to that folder, then from that folder you go to a different folder, then create some files and folders in different locations. So keep on doing those things, whatever things that we had practiced, and also start with this link where you can actually explore more Linux commands. And believe me, you actually need to finish all these 50 commands in this weekend. It's mandatory. You need to finish all these 50 commands. If you do that, the entire course would look very easy to you, believe me, because our entire course is going to be based on Linux. So just practically whatever command that you can learn in Linux, whatever command that you can execute on your Linux machine, do it. Even if you crash the machine, it's okay. Even if you crash the machine, all you can do is you can just right click on the machine, terminate it, then you can create a new machine by clicking the launch button. Still you will not be charged by AWS. AWS will charge you only for the running machines. If you terminate this machine, AWS will not charge you anymore. And of course, this is not a chargeable machine that you have created, it is a free machine. So you can terminate your free machine, then you can create a new free machine. So what I'm trying to say is, if some of your command went wrong, you don't really need to worry about that. Even if you crash your machine, you can actually anytime delete the machine and create a new machine. It's not a concern. Grep command, so you can again search for a given string in a file. Maybe this command make better sense. What this command will do, it search for a given string inside a file. So basically grep -i ta. So this is a text file, demo file is a text file. Inside this file there are a lot of content, and you want to find out the. This is a string which you want to search inside this file. So this command would basically print every lines inside this file that contains the. Find command example, find files using file name. This is one command used in Linux for locating a file. For example, I am inside home folder. I want to find out, there is a file called myprogram.c inside home folder. So this command, what it does is, it would do a recursive search. It will search in home, it will search the F1, F2, F3, all the folders inside home. Then inside those subfolders, it will do a recursive search throughout the home folder. And if there are any file found with this name, it would show you the path of those files. Right, so SSH command is a command that you can use to log into a remote Linux machine. So like that, you will see a list of commands. So if you are in any doubt, let's say search in Google what find command do in Linux. You can see the syntax and what find command will do. It's one of the most important, much used commands in Linux system. Find command is used to search and locate list of files and directories based on a condition. The condition can be file name, list out all the file that has this particular name. So, right, or any command, I mean, you can do this practice and make sure that whatever command that you are executing, don't just execute them, understand what the command will do, right? That's important to know what the particular command will do. It's very important. So start with this today itself. Create your Linux machine. Those who haven't created your Linux machines yet, create it and start exploring all these Linux commands and make yourself comfortable with Linux. That's what I want from you. Make yourself comfortable with this Linux command line. Okay. Subhash, you are offline. Any questions, guys? Faisal, Lilith, Shweta, anyone? Devabrat?
No, still right now not.
Cool then. Yeah. So I will be uploading this recording into the same Google Drive, right? I would be using the same Google Drive. December 13 DevOps is the Google Drive where I am going to keep uploading the files.
Okay, Bashir.
Whatever recordings would be there. Okay, cool then. Thank you all, and see you tomorrow. Same time tomorrow. It's same time. See you tomorrow.
Okay, Bashir. Thank you.
Dilip, Jay, please connect again. I'm going to restart this meeting.